Hello, creatives. Welcome to Awwwards Academy. Welcome back to Deconstructing Websites with the Awwwards Jury. My name's Rachel and I'm the producer. And we're really excited for today's show. We've got lots of people already waiting. So let's meet today's jury. Hello, jury. Hello. Okay, interesting sound there. Hello, everyone. Okay, so so we've lost Jonas, but he'll be back in a second, I'm sure. So hello to Isabel Moranta, art director at Locomotive.
Thank you to be here and thank you for inviting.
Okay, Isabel, I think you need to refresh because your microphone is gone a bit like a robot. So can you refresh and come back in? Okay, see you in a bit. And so, yes, so I'll go back to you, Jonas. Jonas Lempa, partner and creative director at Taikonauten. Welcome back.
Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for having me. That I can come back with this amazing crowd and this amazing colleagues. So really looking forward for that. Thank you.
Awesome. Great to have you back with us. And now Isabel Moranta, art director at Locomotive. Hello.
Can you hear me okay?
Oh, perfectly.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you for inviting me. It's going to be my first time and really looking forward to this session.
Excellent. And and welcome to the show, Shaban Iddrisu, co-founder of Sivik Atelier. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you so much. What's going on, people? Hope you're ready for the show. We can't wait to smash it. Thank you for having me, Rachel.
Oh, our pleasure. So, I'll leave you with Jonas. He's going to be leading the show. So, have a good one, and I'll join you at the end. Remember, everyone, put your Q&A in the chat, and I'll be asking the judges your questions at the end of the show. So, have a good one.
Thank you very much, Rachel. Hi, Isabel. Hi, Shaban. That's going to be such a great session today. The live website reviews, now deconstructing websites with the jury. I'm really looking forward to that. After a couple of months of break, I hope we can get to a position where we add some value to the community and get some or share some insights and transparency in how to make really great websites. So today, speaking of great websites, we are looking at the message to Ukraine by Obys agency. Amazing people from the Ukraine already won a couple of awards on the Awwwards platform, and we are really excited to look at their homage to their home country, let's say it like this, and having a deep insight on different levels, which Isabella, you would like to share a little bit with us. So what are we going to talk about today?
Of course. Thank you, Jonas. So first of all, we want to mention, Shaban and I were thinking, the reason why we picked this site is because it has a message that needs to be shared and told, and it really makes sense. So thank you, Obys, for this amazing website. And so today we're going to discuss the preloader, our first impressions, the scroll experience, the visual continuity and transitions, the story and content, which personally is one of my favorite parts of the site, the aesthetics, the mood and tone, the favorite details Shaban and I share, and Jonas, of course, the menu, the experience, and the Ukraine anniversary, the 30 years.
Great, thank you very much for this overview. So let's not wait too long and just start into this wonderful website, which we will see right now. What a beautiful preloader, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Let's do it again, Isabel. Let us know what you're thinking about that.
Yeah, again, Shaban and I were discussing how important it is for the site and the experience. It sets the tone, the mood, and it's giving us a lot of information that is going to be crucial for the whole experience.
Yeah, to add to what you said, Isabel, it takes you back, like a nostalgic feel, because there's 4 images over there that shows what the independence was like on the day they had the independence 30 years ago.
Yeah, we see 1991, the 2021, so it's giving us like the time frame, and we also see like it's super fast, but we see the images which represent Ukraine's anniversary of independence, and also the big protagonist of the story, which is Ukraine.
It's beautiful, right? Like all these little details in a connection with transitions, and in the connection with a great appeal to really like an entrance door to a new world.
Yes, certainly, Jonas.
All right. So after the preloader, we see here a tile design, which is like a very nice, gives us nice possibility to explore a couple of things by scrolling, by hovering through different areas. But Shaban, what is your first impression about this overview after the preloader?
Yeah, thank you, Jonas. Like I said earlier on, it's wonderfully done. The typography, the style of photography that it shows, and then the message itself. So my little message to Ukraine, it gives you an idea that you're about to read kind of like a storybook and to dive into, the history of a certain country. So it brings you back, like, you feel this nostalgic moment and you can't wait to explore more.
Yeah, 100% Shaban. I really, really loved how static and still this first part feels. It is an introduction. We're going to discuss that it has 6 chapters, like the story itself has 6 chapters. So basically, it made me pause and pay attention to the text. Like, this is a message to Ukraine. So just read, and we're going to tell you a story. So I thought it was very poetic.
Yeah, if you take a look at the general feel, what really caught my attention was the fact that the imageries and how they treated them, and aligning that to the fact that they are celebrating independence, and the font that they use, the names of the cities they use, the old buildings they use, and even the poem in general. It's well thought of design, well done, Obys. It's a great job.
Yeah, especially like this, also this wavy raster pattern on this photography gives a really interesting, unique style with this like super modern layout and super modern tiled visuality, which has some kind of mini revival at the moment. We saw that in a couple of these websites or the Apple keynote or something like that, but they're creating a contrast with this old looking but still forward-looking pictures of status quo and as well as the history of Ukraine. So it's a really nice look and feel based on certain contrast.
Yeah.
I also have the fact that they're just moving away from what everybody is doing, showing photographies and in plain RGB, and you see all the colors. They treated this really special, and thinking about the time frame they used to create this, it's just a really well done treatment on these photographs.
Yeah, I love what you were saying, going back to your comment, Jonas. How is it like super modern, because at the same time they're trying to do something very innovative, but at the same time it's paying like this special homage to the old times. And I know that Obys had in mind like the grandma's photographs that we have like at home, right? Like you want to like flip pages over and like feel the texture of those images.
Exactly.
So I think they represent that really well.
Yes, exactly.
Speaking of well, I think very quickly you get like this feeling that it's all about scrolling, right? So it's just read and you will just read and you will understand me. So you get into this mode of scrolling through a history. At some point, I also have the feeling that I can click on something. So at the first impression, I was like, no, it's here at this point. It's just about scrolling and really following a story and following a context of Ukraine, which is also, let's say, underlined with this beautiful part here. Shaban, do you want to tell us a little bit about what we can see here after the cities?
Yes. If you take a look at it, you see that they're talking about a poem, or there's a poem that they wrote. And what is amazing about this part is the poem was actually I mean, the website was built or made based off of the poem. So the poem was like the blueprint that was made specific for the website.
That's some inside knowledge you have, right?
Yeah, we
Exactly.
even have more details, Jonas. So thank you always for sharing all the details with us. So basically, Olia was the designer who created the poem, and then I was asking them like, did you base like everything on the poem, or it was like what your idea of the website made you create a poem? So it's basically they created the poem to do something very unique and it's theirs, and then they built everything around that poem. So I think it's very nice. Another fun fact is like Roman's mom, which is another designer from Obys, corrected everything and edited the poem. So I think like everything is in a family style, so I love that part.
You were forgetting something, Isabel. Roman's mom, she is a literature for a
Yeah.
Ukrainian literature in school. So she's teaching Ukrainian language. So she did a
Yeah.
perfect job. And if you take a look at it, the poem is written in Ukraine originally, which is paying homage to the main website because it's based off of Ukraine. But there are English, translations underneath it. If you look at the first one, it says, I grew up in the blooming fields. And if you look at on the left side, they displayed a blooming field imagery to go in tandem with the lyrics or the lines of the poem. And so applies to the second one. So I think that everything has been really, really well thought of. And you can find the balance, or you can find the connection between the images and the poem.
I want to continue on that. Oh, Jonas, you were about to say
No,
something.
I just wanted to say hi to Obys because I'm pretty sure that they are watching and trying to find out what we have to say about this award-winning website. And if there are any questions the community have for Obys or for us, just let us know, and then we're trying to answer them on point or at the end of the session. So hi everybody, and Isabel, please continue.
Thanks, Jonas. So basically, on Shaban's point, I thought it was very interesting that from the very beginning, we're still in the intro. So they are introducing us Ukrainian language as also another main protagonist of the story. So for me, I was thinking they could have had like a language switch, like, oh, I want to browse in English, I want to browse in Ukrainian. But I think it's very smart from them, like, oh, we want to make it very ours, so it's for their people. We're just invited to see and discover more, so I thought it was very nice.
Absolutely, yeah. I thought I had a feeling that after I looked at the endings of every word, I recognized, oh, this can be a poem, because by the purely translation, for me as somebody who didn't have the chance to talk to Obys, it's like it was questioning myself, what is it? Is it a poem? Is it the national anthem or something like that, right? So this combination of getting people interested in what's standing there or what's written there, at the same time being a little bit of mysterious of what it's all about, is, I think, a very great way of an inside story they're probably telling to clients or to friends and things like that. And for people, for users exploring this website, I think it's a really nice way of telling what the home country of Obys means to them. But by the way, this project was an internal project, correct?
Yeah, I think they did this. Basically, the main reason or the main idea behind creating this project, Jonas, was to show the world, or tell the world about the love that they have, the dedication of love they have for Ukraine. So they had to build this, and then the beautiful part of this is they built this just under 1 month. Okay, so it's a lot of work, but the way they were able to come out with these beautiful images, the concept, write a poem, get it edited, and put together this solid work in 4 weeks is great. I mean, yeah, there is a lot of things we can talk about it. There's a lot of things that I think personally can be, an additional improvement. But all in all, this is a well done job.
Yeah, I totally agree. And coming back from my point, I think when they do this type of project that they do, that they've done like several that they're just giving to the community, like the typography principles, grids, and color combination. So I think, and Shaban and I agree that once they do things like that, this type of project, they're just successful on its own, because they are passion projects. They share who they are as an agency, as people. So I think when it comes from the heart, the result is there.
Very true, very true. And it's also based on one of their favorite tools, right? So they all these websites about typography, about color, and I think also we reviewed one of those already in the past. Is that it's actually they're real experts with ReadyMac.
Yes, yes. I think ReadyMag makes it easy for designers to create websites like this, sophisticated website without the need of a developer. So they have the freedom to imagine or to bring their imagination to life. One more thing that I think we missed here that I want to talk about, Jonas, is that
Sure.
if you take a look at the fonts, they created a specific font or special font treatment for this particular website. So they made this font specially for this website, right? And then the beautiful part of this is that they want to release this full set of the font somewhere, maybe by the end of the year. They want to, release it out so people can actually make use of the font.
Yeah, how crazy is that? So I see on the chat they're asking how many people were involved on the site, and it was just Olia. Correct me if I'm wrong, Obys, but that's what I understood. They were saying that they really like ReadyMac, because they give the designer a lot of flexibility and independence, and you can create projects super fast and efficiently. So yeah, and crazy that they created a typography in that time frame. I think it's very impressive.
Yeah,
I'm all the time thinking if this is like kind of combination of like an interpretation of the Cyrillic alphabet Ukraine is using. So that would be also interesting if what Obys has to say. So if was this an inspiration for this special font or for this typography they created? Because that's a lot of dedication, let's say, like this to a website which is just and don't get me wrong, just an internal project to shout out what's possible with ReadyMac and with Obys.
Yeah, there was Jonas answering your question. They have three main designers. I'm not gonna read their names because I'm gonna read them wrong, but they're like Ukrainian art creatives from the 19th century. And they had like this avant-garde style. So everything is like, if you check, I'm going to share with you or maybe later on the chat, like they have this avant-garde, like beige, like nostalgic feel. So they based their research on those three designers.
Thank you very much for giving me these insights. we have here a couple of some words, some adjectives talking about Ukraine, like happy, brave, connected with this nice micro animation and transition to talk about their country, their understanding, their poem. So what do you think is the purpose to position that for the user experience?
Yeah, Jonas, this spot, myself, I'm being honest, I was a bit, confused about it. I was, okay, how can I relate this to the poem? And what is this talking about? Is it talking about the poem in general? Is it talking about the website in general? Is it talking about the people of Ukraine or Ukrainian in general? So in a way, I think it's, from my perspective, I think this is kind of like an addition, or to tell the people, or to tell the attitude of the people of Ukraine. But I think that if we were given, in my opinion, if we were given some detail about how what this is meant, because I cannot relate it to the poem directly, but to me it looks very important, or it feels very important, additional part of the website. So if Obys is in the chat, if you can let us know why you use this picture, so what are these specific values or relating to?
Yeah, totally. We were guessing, we were trying to play like the guess game, and I wonder, for example, like it would have been nice to have like the members of of the agency, like the designers, and maybe like matching one of the adjectives with a person. So this is the way I see Ukraine or something like that. But I don't know.
Let's move forward to the next sections, to the next chapter. And as you can see here, it's like this typical ReadyMac, like ReadyMac is built, like we have this viewport and then changing to the next chapter where you also can see that the URL with the domain will actually change. So now we are in the next chapter, the part of nature, where we have this beautiful parallax, full-fledged usage of this specific style of design and photography, and gives us the introduction to our next chapter. Isabel, what are your thoughts on that, or Shaban?
Yeah, for me, I really thought like the contrast, like I love how like this transition feels like bold and it's right on your face, right? So for me, I understand like nature for them, and I had to do research again because, as I said before, like this page, like this section invites you to do like your own research. Oh, I want to find more because I don't know if they have mountains or not. So it represents their uniqueness and the variety of like yeah, like space and nature that they have in Ukraine.
Yes, to add to what Isabel said, this particular scene, it feels like a collage of, different images, but it's actually a place that exists. I think it's called the Askania Nova in Ukraine. So this is one of the, I think, one of the wonders of Ukraine, the seven wonders of Ukraine. So it is very important part of, the Ukrainian culture and all that.
I mean,
Yeah,
look at this. It's like a really old trick, this parallax stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's nothing new,
yeah,
but it's still. I mean, there's still sometimes like if you time it in a cool way, it really gives like some kind of perspective and liveliness into actually just. I mean, I'm constantly scrolling. Yeah, so there's no interaction needed or so on and so forth. So you could think that this is kind of I'm just scrolling. Yeah, but at the end we are using like these old tricks
yeah,
to make it very, very, very lively and just like bringing some kind of joy of use. And I think it's a lot about joy of use and getting inspired with pieces of Ukraine.
yeah.
I think
Going
we're
back
I
to,
think
oh,
we're missing a little detail. Sorry, Isabel.
yeah,
I think we're missing a little detail over there. If you scroll back up, there is just it feels, I don't know if it's like a sticker on top of it, and it says a word. It's all about Ukrainian nature, and I think we will be discovering bits of these kind of messages. And we've been thinking about myself and Isabel. We're thinking about what are these messages? Is this a tagline for the message, or these are like something that you need to discover yourself?
yeah. For me, they feel like at least my family, like we used to like print the pictures like paper copies, and then you had like that note at the back of the photo to remember that was 1992. So I think that's a lot of fun. I wonder if they got inspired for that reason. But on that like transition that you were mentioning, like the nature one, I want to add something else there. For me, it is very aligned to the feel of the imagery and the photography. And it feels like, because we're talking like this is a story, right? So it feels like this paper cut stories for children. When you open the book, you remember those books, like you have all the paper like in front
Exactly.
of your face. So I thought it was very smart. And again, I wonder if they were inspired by that or not.
Yeah, and if you look at it, it looks like these type of interactions or these type of transitions kind of like repeat or shows in all the sections in the rest of the six sections. It's like an opening. It gives you an opening or like a general overview to what you're expecting to see in the next chapter. And the way they play with the parallax, the way they treated the images and the type of images they use, it's when you talk about the content, the story, the continuity, I think that it's just working perfectly over there.
Yeah. 100%. If you scroll down, there is something else like Shaban was talking about, like the Scania and Nova and how like detailed this page is, like this section. So basically, here a lot of people, like, I don't know if you know, in the chat, let us know. But like these books here, they're not actually photographs. These are part of a book, the Red Data Book of Ukraine, dated back from 1980s. So basically, they included this because in Ukraine, they have a book from the 80s where they're protecting endangered species and plants. So they again, I thought it was very nice to share that with us.
Very true, very true. And what is so interesting is all these insights, and you had the chance to have like this interview with Obys. But what would be like one great feedback is also giving the actual users which are impressed by this design, and also impressed by this way of scrolling through it. These pieces of content would be beautiful, could be beautifully integrated into this experience, right? So also getting a lot of context for the users, a lot of context for getting even more interested, and learning more about the nature, about the culture, about why they choose what they choose, and probably it's somewhere also it ends in a cool use case where they can tell this story. But even cooler would be that the actual users, or the actual recipient, the person who uses this website gets these information and really feels engaged.
Yeah.
So when we look at this clever part here, is that as soon as one of these section ends, right, there's always this sticky part which gives you some kind of, I don't know if it's like blue for up, like the sky, and brown like the ground, or something like that, or yellow the ground. But it is a nice detail with these pastel-like colors, where they're combining a lot of, let's say, trends right now with this very white space, tiled layout, giving some kind of contrast with this hand-cut, paper-cut design tiles, and then playing around with some colors. I think it's like a very interesting combination of current trends, as well as how you could use certain design types. So I think this is also one of the engaging parts why they won their prize, right, or their award.
Yes, Jonas. That particular part, I was wondering why, what was the essence? Because for me, I'm like you. I'm thinking, right? It looks great. It has this. I'm thinking about it as a sky. When you hover, it's blue. When you go down, it's. I was thinking about it as a blooming field or something like that. But I was finding a way to relate it to the entire experience and why it was used. So I'll be, I'll be very happy if, maybe Obys in the comment can let us know why they use it.
Definitely. And we got also the information that it was 1 month, but 4 people. So 4 people working on that, and I think we can see the work in it, and like also the storytelling, right? So especially in ReadyMag, from the experiences we had, is that it's very important to know the content and the structure before you're trying to design it. It's not like a great exploration tool. So I think that was kind of who does the storytelling, and then a lot of people were working on that and really creating something beautiful.
Yeah, just based on what I discussed about earlier, the yellow colors and the blue color, I've just been noticed in the chat by Alex that the yellow stands for wheat, and these are the colors that comes from the Ukrainian flag. I think it's a very interesting discovery. Really well done.
Of course.
Very smart.
So here in this chapter, we are getting introduced to the language part. So there's a kind of a repetition with going into this countryside, but then it's getting pretty, let's say, birdy.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to mention something about the birds because it's so nice that they follow you through the story from the very beginning, but you don't know what's going on. Like, you rarely read about birds in the story. Like, maybe there is a nightingale, but then I was thinking that the birds are swallows because what follows next, if you had the chance to listen to a song that we have in the language part, the main protagonist of that song is a swallow. So I thought it was very smart that everything, like, it's linked together. But Shaban is going to give you more information
Yeah,
about that story,
yeah,
and I'll continue.
yeah. To me, this is my favorite part of the site. This is my favorite detail. When I was discussing with Isabel, I was like, well, I don't know if everybody can figure this out, but let's see how you can figure this out. Now, the title, the section says language, right? But then when you get to it, if you can just start on us, please. From the top, it says language. Every line of a song about to talk about content and the visual continuity and how they use the content to create it. I don't know if it's something conscious or it was a sweet incident, but this is my part. It says every little song or a poem goes straight in my soul. Okay, let's keep the there. So now I move down. Isabel just made a point, a point about a nightingale. That's the next. So every word sounds like a nightingale song. Now let's go into the main section. It says just search, turn on, listen to. You will feel the magic. Now you have to search. I think that there's a sound there. There's a
Yeah.
sound or an audio. I don't know if you have to refresh, Jonas, but
No,
because
we cannot play it. So
we cannot play it. Okay, good. So this audio is it's called I call it Cedric or something, but it's a very it's a famous song that was created by Malok or there's one of the composer back in 1916. Now this song was specifically made for Christmas. Now coming back to the story about the soul and the swallow. Now the the title of the song is The Little Swallow. It says that the swallow comes to your household and sing to you about wealth that will be coming the next following spring. The tune or the rhythm of the song, if you make a bit of research and you check the research, it says that the rhythm is a song based on a traditional folk chants in Ukraine, which language was thought to have a magical properties. So the word magical, the word soul, all these things put together for just the title of the song, I think was beautiful made. It was beautifully thought of. Like I said, I don't know if it's a sweet coincidence or something that they thought about, but the content there, the title, because you'd be tempted to ask, okay, what has the song got to do with the language? Because I don't know what language, I'm not seeing anything about the language, but the song and the research you made behind it will tell you that everything is interconnected. And in my opinion, being able to use the content this way and being able to use the content and the story this way, it's a very creative process.
Really, it's like mind-blowing, the interconnection and the way of how, I mean, that's also part of the designer, right? So that's all the things you said is natural it's coming from their culture. It's something you know from the beginning when you're small or when you're growing up, and when you then have like this pure understanding of meaning of things, and then when you have the chance to look into that and create designs and create concepts, it feels like very, very, very natural, and very, very, very inspirational for your part. So I think what we can learn from that is that even if you're designing about something which is maybe not necessarily you're super passionate about, is to try to emphasize with people very passionate about this specific topic, or talking to them, to really see these small strings connected to like things you just mentioned, right? So the text, the lyrics, the magic, the language, the thing how it comes together when you click here on the play button, and so it's, I mean, it's a really nice deep dive into that, and how passion can lead to really great ideas.
100%. Yeah, for me, the like one of the strongest points of this website is that you start like the story and you think, oh, we're gonna talk about like nature, but it's, yes, we're gonna talk about nature, but we're gonna talk about everything. And it's so, the example of the birds, it's such a good example, because then we are presented with a song, but then you can see the birds scrolling. You know that it's super well thought, that everything is like interconnected, and everything has a like a moment of a star moment in the story. And I think that that's what making the site very unique.
Very true, very true. But now I need to mention something, that we are now entering my favorite part. And we are going to talk about food. So who has some insights about what we are seeing here right now?
I do.
Let's go.
All right. So I really love this part. So when we were discussing with Shaban, he was like, but why are you so curious? I was curious because it's like in the middle of the website, like it feels like, again, right on your face, and it's big and bold, and you can actually read the names of the dishes, but you have no idea. Sorry, Obys, but I had no idea what I was reading. So I had to Google it and explore. So everything is super well thought. The first, if you can scroll at the the borscht. Yeah, I got it. So the borscht is the national traditional soup. So it's a beet worm soup that they cook a lot of time in Ukraine. And then the second one is the salo, which is bacon or lard. It's basically pork fat, but it's very popular. It's very popular there. And then the third one is vareniki, which is like this half moon shaped dumplings, which are stuffed with potato. So I thought, when you talk with family, you talk about food. When you sit at a table, you share food, you share, like, your memories with your country are normally related to food. Like, for example, me, Spanish, living in Canada, I'm always like remembering food my mom used to cook for me. So I think it's a very special moment for them.
Yeah, and then to add to what you said, if you look at the entire experience, how when Jonas is scrolling from the beginning, from the bush, you realize that these elements are coming together one at a time and one after the other. So in a way, they are telling the user or the one viewing the website that this is how this is made. These are the ingredients in the food, but they use a very good sense of mind, sense of interaction, sense of anime to show how the food is made. And one great part that I saw, the one great part that I liked, that before you get to the next food, that is salo. And salo, by the way, is the last name of the UI designer at Obys. If you don't know, just by the way. So before you get to salo, you see that the steam from the food is coming out. So the distance, the time frame, or the duration from the borscht getting to the salo, it's like the borscht is already cooked and the steams are out. Now you're waiting to add the salo to it. So that distance and that duration that they paused and to show the steam, I think that they really thought about it well, and I think it works well in terms of continuity.
I think what is pretty clever is that they broke down the experience in something horizontal, right? Because it was just about to get maybe a little bit repetitive, like, okay, yes, there is of course some parallel. Okay, it's a parallel, super, it's nice, it's cool. Okay, I got it. And then it's something like horizontal, same principle. But super bold, playing around with like these with this national colors, as I now learned, and as well as with this national food and things like that. And so this was the moment when you get like when you're like, we all know that as designers, we are scrolling so fast through websites and scan them in a couple of seconds, yeah, and then you're at this point, and then you see, oh, there's something happening which is a little bit which breaks the experience and makes you, let's say, wakes you up again in a way where it's about one of the most passionate thing probably for everybody, and that's really, really good food.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jonas. It breaks the visual boredom and the scroll boredom, so it is well positioned to, wake you up. Like you said, I like that phrase. It wakes you up because you're, as a designer, when you're scrolling, you're just scrolling fast. You want to see the animations, the easings in the animation, the fonts you're using, and how things are working in and out. So when you get tired of the same transition, it was a good time that they brought the horizontal scroll.
I think we are now entering one of the last chapters here of this website. And this is, again, we know it from the first viewport. Yeah, so we have like the way of learning how these things work. But now they're building a bridge. They're building a bridge from, like, let's say, all this very, very traditional things, now building a bridge for people who are interested in creatives, in designers, in how we can learn more about the country itself, also from our industry and our branch. Do you know more about this? Like, what is the motivation to build this bridge here?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm answering your question, but what I notice here is that Obys wanted to include other talented people, agencies. For example, the first links at the top, they're more like agencies from Ukraine and other creatives that are like still like working and obviously very talented. But like if you scroll like more down, like for example, the last part, the architects, and the last part, the artists, are more like from the 18th century, 19th century. So I thought it was a bit like trying to include everything, like who we were and now who we are. So I thought it was super cool to have like this timeline of creatives, but still like old times or current times, we're still Ukraine, and that's what is making us special, and we want to keep going.
Yeah, this particular side, it's nice, but I thought that there could be something there could be something that could be, or there's something that could be, added to this particular point. Because what I mean by this is when the user, going through all this experience, Jonas, if you click one of the links, maybe the architect, if you
it leads to an external page.
It leads to an external page. So you're going through all this field, all this story, and the UX, the UI design, we thinking about the user flow. It's great, but when you get here, you haven't finished exploring the site, but then it leads you to another website. And if you get to that website and it looks nice, you might get stuck there for 10 minutes, and then you realize I was on this website in maybe 10 minutes ago. So once you come back, the tendency that you forget what you were reading or what you were going through or the story is high. So I think that is the only thing that could have been added to this part. Instead of letting the people leave the page, they could really do it in a different way so people could stay. The idea is to let them stay and continue the story flow. So I think this is something that I would have done differently when it gets to this part.
I'm asking all the time myself, I already shared that with you, why are these circles have a color, slight different color than the others? But that's something maybe Obys can tell me, can share with us. But additionally to that, it has, you see that we are now getting to some kind of the limits of the tool, because there are a lot of things happening here. It's a little bit of laggy. It's hard to really get as smooth as possible. So maybe also like this way of how it folds together is maybe a little bit too much. For maybe that was a little bit too creative, since to a great user experience, topics like performance, topics like guidance and topics like not just pure exploration, but also like a snappy and positive response. Is also very important to not let somebody down on the way to explore something.
Exactly.
Yeah, and on that note, because we talked about how nothing is clickable on the site, so it's except the menu, but we haven't even like checked it because everything is so great. You just check it at the very end, but we'll talk about that. But like once you're here, like for me, it was like, oh, I have something to click, so I want to click, and I feel like there is a lot of emphasis on that clickable part, and so many at the same time, that I think maybe an image on top, like, oh, if you click on it, you're gonna exit the site, or maybe
Exactly.
you can leave it for later, come back later, and if you want to find out more of this person, you have time after the whole experience. But yeah, it's a risky choice to have it here in the middle of the website.
Exactly.
Excuse me.
To make sure that we're covering as much as possible before we jump into the Q&A, we are basically now entering the last, more or less the last part of the website, and it's actually the next part, the last part of this beautiful poem which we learned about, and which has also something to say to us. But Shaban or Isabel, would you like to have some final thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I don't know if you noticed, but when we started from before, you don't have to go back, Jonas, but there were cities that was showing like the same as this the first experience on the page on the hero.
Yeah.
So when I looked at it first, I was like, okay, what about the rest of the cities? Only to my surprise, I realized that they had the continuation of the cities from here. So this page, this is also a continuation of the cities. But what I have here is, unlike the first section of the poem or the first part of the poem, you're able to easily relate the poem to the image that is the visual image on the left side. But I was discussing with Isabel that, are you able to relate? Have you been able to relate, Isabel? Have you been able to relate the poem to the images?
No, it took me some time. It's true that at the very beginning, excuse me, I could see the effort and the energy like correlating the images with the text. But here it's just like more information about buildings and the essence of Ukraine.
I think maybe perhaps we don't understand what the buildings are made, but yeah, it would have been nice to be able to correlate them easily together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it's a wonderful also transition. What you said is to this inspiration part, right? At the end of this website, they're breaking down, showing some color, showing some not only stories or beautiful prepared pictures, but really proving it somehow, what they are talking about, architecture, about landscapes, about people, about food, and gives a complete, let's say, summary of all the things which have been introduced before. And also speaking of impressions is, since I would love to jump into the questions and answers, is what is maybe your final, Isabel, your final statement or your final idea of this website in just maybe 2 or 3 sentences?
Yeah, sorry, I said it before, but basically for me, it was a very special site because it made me feel. It's like I could see them like discussing and, oh, what do we include? We love this, we love that. Even in the gallery, I found out that these are their pictures. So it's not like, oh, we went like through Google Images and found some like cool pictures. You can actually see some of the members of the crew there on this here, this one. Mm-hmm. So it's basically, they were saying these are images of the places of their strength. So everything that they were sharing with us and everything that I've been discovering myself, it's been so poetic, so like energetic. And I think like my last comment would be for them to maybe in the chat or later we can have a discussion. I wonder if these types of projects, they make them stronger as a team, because I feel like when they put like this beautiful energy, this attention to detail into something that they really love, I can see a lot of improvement in the dynamics of a company or an agency.
Very true, very true. Shaban, before I give over to Rachel, your final statement on that.
Yeah, for me, all in all, to all the viewers viewing, what is most important to me about this site and any other site is that you're able to take away something very important to my heart or dear to me. That is, don't think this is Obys. There is other agencies who are doing great works, and this is fantastic work. But as you saw, there was a lot of things that we can also improve. Everybody can improve. So the bottom line is, do not feel that you cannot build something like this, because I have people ask me, how do I win awards? How can I be on awards as well? How can I get this? But this is to let you know that no matter where you are, no matter what you do, if you're focused on you want to achieve something, you can achieve it. Time should not be the problem. You should have that mindset that I don't have to be special. I don't have to be like that. I just have to be determined that I want this and I will get there. So this website should give everybody an inspiration and give everybody the urge and the zeal that each and every one view on this website, because you're here because you're curious and you want to know. So to feed your brains, to give you something, food of thought, something to think about, something to keep you going, know that you can also create something like this and be on awards and win awards for yourself. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Shaban, Isabel. Happy to hand over to Rachel and see what the community is asking.
Okay, wow. I mean, what a deconstruction. Like, much respect for the sheer level of research you've done to understand the website. That was really amazing, guys. So thanks so much for your hard work and preparation.
Thank you.
Great to have Obs in the chat answering all our questions. We've got quite a few questions from the community here. We've got a question from Victor Luis Costa. Hi, Victor. His question is, why wasn't inertia used on the scrolling in order to make the navigation smoother? In my point of view, this kind of website, fully based on scroll interaction, would be a nice use of this approach, especially for non-Mac users.
So I thought about it as well. I spoke to Isabel about it. I was like, okay, cool. There is no smooth scroll. Inertia is basically smooth scroll. So as a designer and a developer myself, there's a lot of smooth scroll libraries out there. There's Locomotive scroll, there's Ask scroll, there's so many, but I like to write my own smooth scroll. So Obys as an agency, I know they have great developers who can write a very simple smooth scroll, to use inertia. So having to go this website, because if you're using a Mac, it's much, smoother because you're using your Magic Mouse and things like that. So naturally Mac adds, the smoothness to your website. But from someone using a Windows, I don't think they will get that experience. So it will be a bit abrupt. So I think that, this is something that Obys can consider in their upcoming scroll-based website.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, Shaban. We've got a question from Abdul. How does the jury plan the storytelling phase when they make these kind of websites? Do you start it before the designing phase?
You mean, sorry, do you mean like us reviewing the site? If we pay attention to the storytelling first? Is that what he...
Or how would you do it? How would you...
Yeah, for me, or for us, when we had like different websites, I don't want to lie, and we were like, oh, which one is it reaching us to the soul? And actually, this one, it was doing that purpose. So basically, we started with what it meant. So for me, what something is so the meaning of something is related into design and the other way around. So basically, Shaban and I were like, oh, let's look at the images and try to understand the meaning behind it so that we can deconstruct it and understand the design and why the designers are picking some choices on top of the others to represent meaning in the website.
Maybe to add something to that is, that great experiences are a combination of design, of content, of motion, of performance, of great development and things like that. So it's very important from our experience is that there needs to be a balance. Yeah, of course there needs to be a starting point, but also a balance. You will never design. Hopefully nobody is designing anymore with lorem ipsum and then showing it to the client, right? Because it's completely out of context. So story and content and a page story. What do we want to achieve with this specific section, or what do we want to achieve with this page or subsite or something like that is very important. Sometimes also process of the whole project vision. Maybe even it's written down before you did your first prototype, or even wireframes or whatever, or paper prototypes, or however you work. But I think that this best experience is just a best possible visual experience is just one part. It's the storytelling. It's also the messages you want to say and the content you would like to communicate. So my advice on that, to really start early on that, and not just like visual porn or whatever. It's about the context, about the mixture, it's about the balance of all these things I just said.
Okay, thank you.
That's okay. So to add to what Jonas and Isabel said, so as a jury, when we are tasked to, review a website, there's a lot of things that comes in place, and you look at the design, and not just the design as in how beautiful it looks like, but how the elements of design are coming together, how they're being, harmoniously used, what role the fonts are playing, why this font is bigger than that, and the meanings of the colors, the contrast when it comes to development as well. You look at when we pay attention to things like, the semantics, the HTML semantics of the website, the use of, we call it the use of, making your code small, or, minifying your codes, the use of all these kind of, web technologies to boost or to make your code's performance great. You look at accessibility as well. We take a look at the performance, accessibility, the best practices. We also look at the SEO of the site. So all these things comes in tandem for us to review our site and give you our opinions based on that.
Okay, awesome. So if you made this site, what would you do differently?
That's a tricky one. I don't know.
Please, Isabel.
Go ahead. No, Jonas, go ahead.
No, I think I mentioned it before. Is what a beautiful experience, especially on these different layers, when you know it. And I think this giving a little bit more context and explaining a little bit about all these little details they told us in a conversation would make this experience even cooler and even more inspiring to deep dive into, to check out, opening Wikipedia, looking for something, like all the things which interests you or which gets you excited. So besides of all the visual part and all the great insights they already shared, I think giving more insights between the lines and inspiring people through that would be a lovely addition to this overall experience from my point of view.
Isabel, you wanted to talk before Jonas?
No, I mean, he said pretty much what I wanted to say because we're so aligned. But so basically, for me, with like more minor details, I agree with him, with Jonas, that it's true that it requires a lot of attention and effort to be able to grasp every single detail throughout the site. So it's true, like maybe more details. But at the same time, I don't think it was their point to have an informational type of site. And the experience, like scrolling through the experience, is still pleasant, and you have fun with the site, and you enjoy what you see. So yeah, it is a plus, as Jonas was saying, if they included more details, but still, I really liked it.
Yeah, I mean, you both pretty much said it all. But in my opinion, what I would do differently on this website, first of all, looking at the scroll experience, we already talked about using an initial scroll. That's the smooth scroll. But what else can I do based on the scroll experience? Well, they're trying to give us a visual story of scrolling and scrolling and scrolling to read the story. But I felt like, okay, what if I'm done reading the story? I've gone through the entire page and I want to check a specific section, say nature, say language. What would I do? How am I going to get there? So giving us maybe a menu to or section menu that I can click to go to a specific section to check that section out or to take information from a specific section would be great. To add to that, if you go down to the last part of the you call it the glossary or the appendix, now it's in Ukraine, and it was one of the concerns that the three of us had, that okay, is this in English? I mean, what is this? This is in Ukrainian. Okay, the site is built for Ukrainians, but people who are not Ukrainian also would love to explore the site and get deep dive into it. So we found out later on that the Ukrainian language is there. That is an alphabetical orders and names of cities. So how would you know? So in my opinion, in terms of UX and how user will use this, I can do it simple as, okay, if I don't want to write it in English, on hover, when mouse enter, then I'm going to change the Ukrainian language to English version, right? So if it is Kharkov in Ukraine, when you hover, it turns to Kharkov in English. So you can read, oh, this is Kharkov, so on and so forth. When the mouse leaves, it comes back to Ukrainian. So there is a little part that, three part to remember: the initial scroll, giving the user the ability to be able to go through a section, because even when you're reading through a book, you're able to move from one section to the other and so on and so forth. And then being able to give the user the ability to know what the last part of the content is, keeping the original formality or the originality of the Ukrainian language, but giving them the ability to discover that this is actually the meaning of that. So this is what I would have done different. Thank you very much.
Yeah, there is something else about the menu. I don't know. We haven't discussed that much together, the three of us, but like for me, I only checked the menu at the very end of the experience. Like, oh, there is something else. I can't scroll anymore, so I want to see what's that. So it serves a purpose because you can read the about, and the about is more like the actual purpose. Why did they create the site, and like the credits. But at the same time, I was missing maybe that button at the very end could have been like, oh, bring me to the top like super fast, instead of like scroll up again, something like super fast, like, oh, I want to start over again, or I want to go to that section. I really agree with the team.
Okay, thank you. And we've got a question here about the context. Do you think more history or context about Ukraine and its independence could have been beneficial for this site?
Jonas, you want to talk about that? Oh,
I had a quick lag, so maybe you need to repeat that. Sorry.
I can get that. Yeah. So so I don't think Obys wanted to make this site political. We barely like get introduced with the preloader. Like we have the images of independence and everything, and it's of course it's like the main conflict that makes like this possible, because that's the starting point, right? But at the same time, I thought they created, or I think they created this site for the people and for everyone else to enjoy the beauty of Ukraine. I don't think they wanted to give it a political standpoint.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Well, yeah, so that's it for today. Yeah, massive thanks to the jury for all of your hard work and preparation. It really shows that you made a lot of effort to deconstruct this site. So big thank you to everyone at home who watched. We had so many questions, so much love on the chat. So big thank you to the community for all your love and support. So yeah, so just thank you so much, Shaban, Isabel, and Jonas.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank everybody for watching. And yeah, let's all keep in touch. We are looking forward to the next session. And yeah, thank you. It was a great session, and I thank you for restarting this program and looking forward to all the next meetings and deconstructions.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Yeah, thanks, Isabel and Shaban.
Yeah.
Thank you for having
Thank you
us.
so much for inviting us.
Our pleasure. You did an awesome job. So yeah, so everyone, if you enjoyed this, you should tune in for the next Deconstructing websites, and we'll see you then on Awwwards Academy.
See ya. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.